Hello there folks, I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm just walking along the Esplanade in Scarborough here, place that I spent a few years of my childhood on. Anyway, the point in this video was just for people that are coming to Scarborough that aren't necessarily from the coast, who may be bringing the kids here for a holiday, and maybe you just want to know a little bit about the wildlife and the flora, the fauna, what you might expect when you come down to the beach. Obviously it'll be things like obvious things like your crabs, different seaweeds and things you can eat and things you can forage. And I know there's a million of these out there, but I thought I've got nothing to do on my day off, so I might as well educate some other people that might not know. So I just thought I'd take you down the beach, have a look at some rock pools, show you what stuff is, what to look out for, but also just have a chat, tell a few stories, a few memories of mine from growing up in a seaside town. I just thought I'd take you along with me. Hope you enjoy. Now, my original plan was to walk down the cliffs at the spa, above the spa. But all the nice volunteers are trimming the grass at the minute, so it was a bit noisy walking down there. Purdy. Before I do start properly, I just want to make a quick disclaimer. I am not a bushcraft expert. I am not a professional forager. I'm not going to be telling you any information that I'm not 100% sure on. This is just for fun, just in case your kids might be interested in this sort of thing like I was as a kid. Things like this are super interesting when you're a child and you love nature and wildlife. So that's why I'm doing it. We've still got about 3 hours until low tide, but there's a few rock pools out and about, so we should be able to see some stuff. I'm going to be showing you things like rock pool creatures, things like that, things that you see sort of every day, things you might not see, which I learned a very painful lesson on last year, which I'll get into later on. I'm going to be showing you different types of seaweed, things you can eat, things you can't eat, and telling a few stories from my childhood. So one of the reasons I think I've always been so interested in coastal wildlife and flora and fauna goes back to when I was probably about 8, and my dad was a pretty hardcore sea fisherman, and we used to do a lot of cliff fishing, rock fishing, beach fishing, things like that. And with that came all the things you needed to do in order to be able to do fishing. So we used to go baiting. So obviously you need bait to go fishing. So in the warmer months it would be crabbing, looking for crabs and things like that under rocks and in rock pools. And then in the colder months it tended to be worming. And my dad taught me so much, so much about all the different types of creatures there are on the beach, and it was so fascinating to me, and it still is to me. And I love showing other people, passing that knowledge on, because it's just fascinating. My dad used to be quite well known for fishing around this part of the coast. He always used to do Filey and Scarborough fishing festivals, so he'd always be taking me fishing with him. I'm sure he appreciated it more when I wasn't with him, so he didn't have to look out for an 8-year-old climbing up cliffs and running across rocks, scared to death that I was going to slip and crack my head open. But I used to love it. I was just in my element. Yeah, he used to do really well. I've got a memory one time, I think I was about 8, and I think it was one of the fishing festivals. This competition in particular was for heaviest fish. And sorry about the noise, there's a speedboat out there. It's quite fun that though, you should try it. Yeah, he got the heaviest fish. I think it was like, if my memory serves me right, I think it was 26 pounds. I think it was a cod. And he was in the newspaper, and he's holding it up next to me. And it was the same height as me. It was a monster. It was great. But we used to eat like kings when I was a kid. Just had a freezer full of fresh haddock, cod fillets, and sometimes we got lobsters. I think I actually caught a lobster on a fishing line once as well at Filey Brig. Treasured memories of mine, definitely. Some of my most precious memories when we used to be on the coast fishing, and yeah, it was brilliant. I wish I could go back to those days. So let's start off with some basics. You'll see like little curled up bit, like it looks like sand, curly bits of sand on the sand there. And those are oh, sorry about the wind. And those are worm casts. It's essentially worm poo, but it's not really poo, it's just sand. That's how they get their nutrients. And then they dump it all out on the surface, and that's what you're seeing. And then, so if you see a worm cast, you know there's a worm underneath you. Now it could be, there's a few different types of worms. You get your sort of standard worms, I can't remember the name of those ones. And then there's the lug worms, and they used to freak me out because they look like millipedes. So yeah, if you've got a spade and you see a worm cast, dig down a bit, you might find a worm. It'll be running away from you, you'll have to chase it, but you'll probably find one. Another thing that me and my better half, something that we love to do together, is collect sea glass. Now it's not natural sea glass, it's just, you know, broken bottles and things that have been sort of eroded over time. And we've spent many hours just enjoying each other's company and collecting little bits of sea glass. And now I have a big glass vase at home just filled with the stuff. In fact, it's overflowing, I need to get a new one. And it just looks great as a little centrepiece. Not for everybody, but yeah, it's great. I've got a little piece on it that's quite old, a piece of glass about that big, and it's clearly got in the words, embossed words, Scarborough Co-op on it, which that's long gone now, Scarborough Co-op. It's just a nice little fun thing to do. Also, you know, there's all sorts of rocks down here. Beautiful quartz rocks and fossils sometimes. It's not the best for fossils on Scarborough Beach, but if you go a bit further north to places like Ravenscar and Robin Hood's Bay, you'll struggle to walk 10 yards without seeing a fossil. Alright, so down here we've got some strawberry anemones. You can see that dark red figure there. It's quite squidgy, a bit gross. That one has its little tendrils out there. I don't know if you can make that out, it's a bit dark. Those things have a little bit of a sting to them. Not too bad, but not very pleasant for kids. But as you can see, as soon as the tide drops, the tendrils, they withdraw them. I think it's to keep their moisture so they don't die. But then as soon as the water level comes back up, the tendrils come out. Quite beautiful. There we go. There's a couple with their tendrils out, floating around, feeding. Yeah, don't let your kiddos touch those tendrils because it'll be a bit unpleasant for them. Okay, I've been sitting waiting for about an hour. We've finally got some rock exposure now. The tide's out finally, so we're going to hit the rock pools, see if we can find some crabs, or maybe even some fish. So, a little cautionary tale, I believe it was, last summer. I hadn't been in the sea for a while, so I thought, well, I'll take myself down the North Beach. This is the South Beach that we're on now. This is South Bay. I thought I'll take myself to North Bay and have a little swim in the water. And got into the water, started wading out, and got up to about waist height, and I felt a really sharp sting in my right foot. And I thought I'd stood on a broken bottle. I thought some glass had gone quite deep into my foot. But I thought, well, I couldn't feel anything still in my foot, so I just thought, well, the salt water will do it good, I'll just keep going. And walked out for another 10 yards, and the pain just started getting worse and worse and worse. And it got to the point where I had to run out of the water. The pain was too much. And I thought, there must be glass in my foot that I'm pushing in deeper when I'm walking on it. Anyway, got onto the beach, laid on the sand, looked at my foot, and there was a barb sticking out of my foot. Turned out I'd stood on a weaver fish, and I've got to say, considering they're only small, that thing causes pain. And I was on the sand for about an hour and a half, writhing about in pain, and I had a piece of the spine in my foot for a good few months afterwards. It was causing all sorts of discomfort, and I was struggling to work. And so please, when you go to the beach with your kids, make sure that if you go in the water, you must wear sea shoes. You must wear something with thick rubber soles, you know, like the sea plimsolls or something like that. Something that the barbs won't penetrate, because the pain, no. But they tend to sit just underneath the sand, so you can't actually see them in sort of warmer months of the year. They'll bury themselves under the sand in the shallow water. Sorry, I feel like I'm going to slip and break my neck here. I'm wearing Crocs for some reason because I wanted to go in the water. So in the warmer months, just make sure you wear sea shoes. So this green stuff here, this is really slippy. It depends whereabouts you're from, but I call it sea moss. and this stuff gets really slippy on rocks. Luckily I'm on sand at the moment, but make sure you watch out. When it sort of dries out a little bit, it gets really slippy. But if you dry this out at home in your air fryer, you can eat it. It's really nice. So this stuff's bladder rack or spiral rack, the greener stuff there. Again, all edible. And this serrated, this stuff, this is different, but it's some people call it serrated rack or something like that. Again, totally edible, harmless. This bladder rack has bubbles of air that you can pop, like packaging, like the stuff you get in packaging, as you can hear. And they use that to float, so the seaweed floats, and so it can photosynthesize properly. It's quite cool. Also, another name for this green stuff is sea lettuce. So another little note about when I used to come down here baiting with my dad when I was a kid. We used to come down crabbing in the hotter months. I'm hoping to find some crabs today, but I don't know whether I've left it a bit late, but it is still quite warm. However, there is no baiters down here at the minute, so that might be a bad sign, we'll see. So what I noticed when I used to come down here with my dad is that he used to have spots, little secret spots where he used to go. And he used to take like a metal rod with him, so he could get underneath all the rock shelves, like the shelving. It's like the rocks are like hollow underneath in some places. So he'd get his stick underneath, and the crabs in a defence mechanism would grab onto the stick and he'd pull them out. And every weekend, or whenever it was, we'd come down, and we'd always go to the same spots. And you could almost guarantee that there'd be massive crabs, edible crabs, underneath these rocks. And there'd be like families of them. In fact, while I'm here, so there were 3 main types of crabs that we used to get when we came down. First off, the most common were greens, or as the fishermen call them, greenies. And they're like your typical green crabs with the sharp serrations on the shell. Pretty nippy, but they're just like standard crabs. They were really good for baiting. And then the second most common type were edible crabs, and they're the ones that you find in your sort of fishmongers and on the beaches, you know, the seafood stalls and things like that, and you get the crab still in the shell. Those were your edible crabs. Those ones used to be huge. Sometimes we used to find edible crabs the size of, and the shells were the size of dinner plates. Massive. Really dangerous though, they're really strong, but quite slow moving. And then the third type that we used to find were called velvet crabs. And I used to be terrified of those velvet crabs because they have bright red eyes and they move so quickly, and they're very, very defensive. No, I say defensive. They'll go for you. They will go for you. They're not scared. They don't run away. They'll rear up and they'll just point their claws at you, and if you put any of your fingers near it, they'll get you. So watch out for those. Red eyes. But they've got lovely soft shells, that's why they're called velvet crabs. Okay, I found another type of seaweed that's pretty cool. I don't know if you can see it from here. Let's have a look. I don't want my phone to fall off the holder. Here, here it is, here. Big broadleaf stuff. Do you know what? I'm just going to grab it. And this stuff is called forest kelp. It's got big, wide leaves on it. This stuff's edible as well, it's quite nice. It's a bit chewy, but it's really nice. It's quite salty, but it's just come out of salt water, obviously. But yeah, forest kelp, that obviously it grows in huge forests. And if you ever see any footage of it underwater, it looks amazing. It literally just looks like a really thick, dense forest. Looks kind of sad when it's on the shore like this. Okay, something that I've just spotted here. Don't know if you can see that on camera. There's that white line there. That's a broken fishing line, and there's a chance that at the end of this somewhere there's going to be a lead weight and a hook. And if you see these, don't let your kids go near them because they're absolutely lethal. I'm going to try and recover this and get rid of it. Look what I found. There's some nice shells. Look at that, it's not too bad. I think that's a periwinkle. If I remember, it's definitely not a winkle. It's too big to be a. I think it might be a periwinkle. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Don't know if you can see that. It's a little clamshell. That's worth keeping. Okay, so here I think I found. That's a velvet shell. So that's a velvet crab shell. The eyes have disappeared, unfortunately, but you can see it's got like a. It's almost like, I mean, it's like velvet or suede, very, very soft and mossy, and they've got this like purple sort of trim around the shell, but those shells are super sharp. There's also the rest of it down here. It's sort of falling apart, but yeah, that's a velvet crab remains. It means there's probably more. Keep my eyes peeled. There's another shell down here. This looks like an edible. Yeah, it is. It's a little baby edible shell. See, they've got like a curved edge, and they've got more sort of like a reddy orange tone to them. So I've seen a lot of little fish. I'm not sure what they are. Just little black fish. I'll have to have a look at those ones. Not something I've seen very often. And I found another shell and another crab shell as well. I'll get the crab shell first. So there's another velvet. Tell by the super sharp spikes, that one's old. It's been dead a long time. And look at that. That's cool. Let's keeping that one. That'll go on my shelf. Hey, now I'm all of a sudden I'm up to my thighs in water. I didn't realise it was going to get this deep. There's another clamshell. Oh, down there. There we go. It's got a couple of little baby snails on it. I'll leave that one in. Don't want to be killing those. And there's an old oyster shell. And I'm sure you've all seen these a million times. These are limpets. Edible. You'll find these clung onto the side of rocks. Actually super nice if you cook them slowly with like garlic and stuff like that. Really nice. They look a bit gross, but if you can get past that, they're actually super tasty, and they are plentiful. They're everywhere. They're all stuck to the sea wall there. You could live off them. You would never go hungry down here. There we go. There's a lead weight and a couple of nasty rusted hooks right there. We'll have to get rid of that. I could easily go into a person's foot or a dog or whatever. It's important to get rid of them. There's a winkle, just like sea snails really. You can see it just inside there. That's its foot. That bit's quite tough, but if you take them out with like a toothpick, honestly, just a bit of Tabasco, beautiful, just as they are raw. But it's not for everyone, but they're really nice. And this is part of a razor clam. These are usually a lot longer than this, maybe sort of 4 or 5 times the length. The clam sits in the centre, and they sit vertical under the sand. And you'll see little dints in the sand, and that's usually where a razor clam is. And you can sort of entice these out with a bit of salt on top of the sand. They'll come up and the tongues will come out, and you can grab them. Really nice to eat. That stuff there is called coral weed. It's absolutely harmless. I wouldn't want to eat that one. It used to freak me out when I was a kid because it's a bit bristly, and I never used to like the feeling of it on my feet. But you can walk on it, it's fine, it's harmless. Well, I reckon I should probably put my camera and my tripod away just while I try and battle across these rocks, because it's absolutely covered in seaweed and it's really slippy. So I'm going to put my camera away. I'm trying to find one of my dad's old spots that he used to go to, and it was like a chasm in the rock. Once I see it, I'll update you. And yet another velvet crab shell. I must say I'm getting a bit nervous walking around in these rock pools in my Crocs with all these velvets about. There's a greeny shell. So crabs go through a cycle where every now and again they'll shed the shells, and they're hard shells. The newer shell will be underneath, but it's really soft, so they tend to hide away when that happens. But maybe that's what's happening. Maybe that's why I'm finding so many shells. Maybe they've all shed. They're all hiding away under the rock shelving. But we'll see. Oh, there's an edible claw. See the coloration on it. If they get older, especially the big ones, if they get their claws on your fingers, say goodbye. So when I mentioned rock shelving earlier, this is the sort of thing I meant. It's like underneath. Crabs absolutely love it in places like that. And like over there, you can see there's that dark little shelf. There'll probably be loads and loads and loads of crabs under there, but I don't have a pole with me to try and tempt any of them out. I'm going to turn over a few rocks though and see if I can find anything. There we go, a little bit of luck. There's an edible right there. I'm going to see if I can grab him out just to show you. Come on, mister. Come on. There we go. A little edible. It's only small. It's pretty chilled out. Even though he's only small, he's still pretty strong though. Got the little hairy legs. Hello. There you go. Glad I found one of them. Got little beady eyes, these ones as well. But yeah, they're the ones you see down at the beach that you eat. I'll put him back. Leave him in peace. Put his rock back on him without hurting him. There we go. Sorted. So there you go. Edible. Let's try and find a greenie and a velvet. Okay. I found a velvet crab and it's quite big as well. I say big. It's big enough to scare me. So we're going to try and get it. It's just, I lifted up that rock, which was here. You can see an edible shell there. And the velvet went under here. So I'm going to lift this rock, see if we can spot him. I'll have to try and chase him. He's in there somewhere. Where are you? Oh, there he goes. Oh no, it's a greenie. That's a greenie. I thought that was a... Well, there might be a velvet here. Yeah, let's get that greenie on camera. He's going for it. He's off. There he is. Oh look, he's got his claws ready at me. Oh, so interesting. They're mating. There's two of them. If you see, there's one directly underneath, clinging on. This little, he's ready to fight. Oh, she. I think that's the female. I believe that might be the male underneath. I don't know, but they're greenies. She's quite a big one actually. Sorry, I keep moving the camera. But yeah, they're ready to fight, as you can see, reared back. Let's see if I can antagonise him a little bit. Oh, there we go. Coming towards my feet, staying clear of them. Gone underneath there. I think, well, you saw them. I think because they're mating, I think we'll leave them alone, leave them in peace, let them do their thing. We'll go try and find another one. Right, we've got a little velvet under here. Just there. Can you see? That's a velvet. Trying to stir up a bit of fuss so that it moves. Just there, we've got a little shrimp. There. Little shrimp. Just here. Mr. Velvet's moving. See his red eyes. Here we go, another greenie. Trying to see if I can get my finger. There we go. Oh, he's wedged himself in. Oh, there we go. Oh, gone to hide. Got a velvet on the move here. Just underneath that seaweed. Just there. Let me see if I can get a better view on it. There. Look at that. Look at the patterns. So quick. Whoa. Oh, there we go. Let's follow him. See where he's going. Just behind that rock. Follow him a bit more. Just wedged himself in there. Yeah, these ones can swim quite quickly because they've got like paddles on their back feet, on their back legs. Don't think we can make it out here, but they're pretty nippy when they want to be. And yet another velvet. This is a new one. You can see how red his eyes are. Don't know if you can make that out. Evil crabs. Let's try and annoy him a little bit. Oh, hey, you bugger!